I finally had an appointment with my oncologist, and I was finally able to ask him the question that my wife and I have been waiting to ask for a long time at this point. Am I able to travel? And I was surprised by the answer. But I was also surprised by a few other things. First of all, the last month or so has been very difficult for me. Had a lot of breathing issues, a lot of coughing. I've grown very weak physically because I haven't been able to walk, haven't been able to work out. I've basically just been sitting around and having it's just been very difficult for me to eat lately. I keep trying to eat as much as I can, but it's just like there's no appetite. I try to force myself, but it's just like it's constant torture and it sucks. And I feel like for the last month, I haven't been eating enough. So what I was expecting to happen is when they weighed me, I was expecting to having lost weight. I was like, if I'm lucky, it's gonna be a couple pounds. If not, it might be like, 5 or 6 pounds, potentially maybe a little more. That's kind of what I was expecting. Turns out, in the last month, I actually gained a pound. I don't know how that is possible, given how little I've been eating. Like, I've tried as best as I could, but I just felt like I am not eating enough. I need to eat more. My body's not getting the calories that it needs. I feel weak. I feel lightheaded. I'm super weak. Like, in my mind, it was impossible for me to have gained weight, yet somehow I did. So that was really good and unexpected news. The second thing is, when I spoke to my oncologist and I asked him, that fateful question, can I travel? The answer he gave me did not surprise me, at least not the first part of it. Given everything I've been through recently, the fact that we're starting a new treatment, I'm like, the odds of him saying, sure, you can travel, are just about as good as the odds were of me gaining weight. However, unlike me gaining weight, he wasn't like, yeah, sure, go ahead, go visit your wife, everything is fine, you're super strong, you're in great shape, go ahead, have a blast. That's not what he said, because obviously that's not the situation. He's like, we're starting a new treatment, so it's important that, we really focus on that for now. However, if the first two treatments go well, after that you can travel, you have my permission, no worries. Which means that potentially in 6 weeks, I could be allowed to go visit my wife. Now, I don't know exactly what's going to happen as a result of the new treatment, and I don't know in what physical shape I'll be by the time we get to that point, but that is much better news than what I was expecting. What I was expecting was there's no way you can travel right now. I don't know when you will be able to travel, and to which I was expecting to respond, okay, well, what can I do in the next, let's say 3 months to get to the point where I am healthy, where I am strong enough to be able to travel? That's kind of what I was expecting. So even though the initial answer was what I was expecting, which was, no, you can't travel now, the second part was unexpected. I didn't expect him to say like, hey, if everything goes well, in 6 weeks you can travel. I was not expecting that. So that is definitely great news. Once again, when it comes to, well, pretty much my life in general at this point, it's just impossible to know what will or won't happen. So all you can do is just really do the best that you can and see what ends up happening, and then do whatever seems like the best option as a result of that. So I don't know if I will be able to travel or when I will be able to travel, but potentially it could be much sooner than what I was expecting. Potentially it could be in approximately 6 weeks. So that's kind of why I mentioned in one of my previous videos, the money that people donated as a result of that video I made about, trolls and assholes and stuff like that. The 300 that they donated, I'm gonna put that aside for whenever I'm able to travel and able to go visit my wife. Because even though, there's someone who offered to pay for the plane tickets for me to go there and come back, there's still expenses while I'm there. There's the apartment, there's food, there's transportation, stuff like that. So I'm expecting like that portion of a trip to be around $1,500. That's kind of what I'm expecting. So right now, so okay, cool. With what people donate, I'm going to set it aside for that. I now have 300 of that $1,500. So basically, I'm missing $1,200. And assuming the best case scenario that I could travel in 6 weeks, well, it gives me another 6 weeks to, find a way to come up with that remaining $1,200. Whether it's, if people want to donate, obviously I definitely appreciate that. I would never ask people to, just because that's not the type of person I am. And that would only fuel the haters. So I definitely don't want to do that. But I know, that's a possibility. Plus, given everything that's happened, I just know that, God working through this person who offered me the plane tickets allowed me to have a means to travel to Nicaragua and back to go visit my wife. I know that God is going to find a way to get me the money that I need to pay for my expenses while I'm there. Whether it's through donations or through something else, or I don't know, like tax refund for the government. Like, I don't know, that's the thing. It's like with things like this, you never know where the money comes from, but I have faith that whenever it's right, by then I will have the funds necessary to go on that trip. And it's cool because it's news that I wasn't expecting, because given how I felt for the last month, I did not know what to expect, but it was not this. Because, that's the thing. It's like I've spoken about it. But it's like the last month has been very, very intense. Like very intense breathing issues, some pretty intense coughing, and just like a general sense of weakness from not being able to exercise or to walk regularly as a result of that difficulty breathing. And because of that, I've just gotten so weak that it's just like, I don't know if you've ever been weak enough or tired enough to experience this, but at this moment right now, I experienced this while walking back from the hospital like half an hour ago. And it's gotten to the point where my body is so weak that just walking, just the weight of gravity pulling down on my arms tires me out. That is how weak I've gotten. Now, because the breathing it seems to be getting better, because the coughing is also seeming to get better, I'm able to start walking a bit. Yesterday I went to go do groceries. Today I went to the hospital, so at least a couple of kilometers of walking from that. Tomorrow I'm going to go do some more groceries. I have to kind of like split it up because I'm so weak I can't carry that much. So, I'm taking advantage of that to slowly start walking again, start rebuilding my strength. That way, if everything goes well and in 6 weeks I'm able to travel, well, I also have the physical strength and I'm in good enough, shape physically to be able to handle that trip. Because just getting permission from my doctor is one thing, but I also need to physically be strong enough to withstand getting on an airplane, flying 6,000 kilometers, being over there in the intense heat of like 30, 35, sometimes 40 degrees, doing stuff, because obviously I'm not just going to go there and like lie in bed all the time. So it's like I need to make sure that my body is strong enough to handle that. And that's why in a way it's like I am grateful that I do have at least these 6 weeks to start getting stronger and get back to that place where physically it can handle that. Because even if the doctor was like, sure, go ahead, you can go tomorrow if you want to, honestly, I don't think my body could handle it right now. So in a way, I'm kind of like grateful that I have this grace period where I can really start rebuilding my strength to get to the point where I actually can physically withstand travel. So it's definitely great news that I was not expecting, especially the gaining weight. That really, really surprised me. And now I have this new strategy for my diet, which involves a lot more of, shakes and liquid things. That way it's easier for me to consume and less solid foods. I feel like that's really going to help me consume more calories and be able to gain weight, especially considering the fact that I've really struggled to eat in the last month, yet somehow I still gained a pound. Like, given that, if my new diet works, it's going to make a huge difference. I'm going to be able to eat more, I'm going to have more calories, more energy, I'm going to be able to walk more, I'm going to be able to exercise, I'm going to be able to start rebuilding muscle, which, is going to make me more tired, so I'm going to sleep better at night, and I'm also going to sleep better at night because the breathing is better. So it's kind of like everything just keeps going and going, and it just like adds up and adds up, kind of like a snowball, and just like starts small and then grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as it, like rolls down the hill. That's kind of like the impression that I'm getting. Like, okay, the snowball is there, we started it, let's start building it bigger. So that's really going to be my focus, especially for the next 6 weeks, but just like in general, let's try to maximize food consumption as much as I can. If I see I'm struggling on that front, I know I always have weed as a backup. Like, I still haven't found that level where it helps boost my appetite and doesn't affect me too much. I just hate the feeling of being high. I do not like it. I don't know why people enjoy it. It's just not for me. So it's like, if I can avoid that entirely, awesome. But if not, if I need it, I know I kind of have that as a backup. So that's really going to be my focus for the next, especially 6 weeks, but just the future in general. Like, let's get my body to the point where it's strong enough that I can travel. So yeah, it's definitely good news. It feels good to, like, I'm definitely not back to normal, but I'm back to the old normal of like, things kind of still suck, but at least I can walk, at least I can exercise, at least I can eat enough that I'm sustaining my weight. Like, I feel like I'm getting back to that point, and that feels very good. Plus, next week, I have my appointment for my first treatment of the new immunotherapy we're going to start, as well as a meeting with my rehab team. And I got a test done last year to test my lung capacity and everything, and there potentially is something that they could do, maybe prescribed a longer type of Ventolin that just lasts longer, so I can kind of like improve my breathing, which will definitely help overall with sleeping, with being able to walk, with being able to exercise, and that would make a huge difference. So I feel like everything's kind of like converging, going in the right direction. Plus, what I shared in yesterday's video, the experience that I had during the night of like, all right, I feel like I'm entering this new phase. I'm ready for that. I'm passing on the baton to the next person. I'm ready for whatever comes next. The fact that I didn't, wake up dead seems to indicate, well, okay, my destiny is for God to save me, for me to get better. And it feels like this process is really starting to, start really. And it feels good. It feels good. All right, I think that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll check back in the next video. I recorded 3 videos in a row, so I feel like I'm starting to like mumble my words, but that's okay because it's the last video. I don't have any other videos that I need to record for now, so I can chill for the rest of the day. Well, I still need to force myself to eat, but aside from that, I can chill. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.